what South Africa are doing, you look at what Morocco have done currently, and you see that it is yielding instant results. Consistency, planning, investments.
Consistency, planning, and investments. Well, those are the thoughts of Rosalind Attoh, who is a specialist in women's football, has a lot in terms of the forward story of Ghana's national team because of the amount of coverage she has given them over the years and how much in terms of institutional memory she has. We'll be picking the thoughts of one person who is younger when it comes to the ladder in sports journalism and women and their participation in sports journalism, and she has also had the opportunity of following some of the teams around. She's covered the Black Queens team, and she's also been monitoring what's been going on with all these other nations who are gradually picking up and snapping up in terms of quality. Abigail Senasosu joins us, from a distance and also has thoughts. Abigail, thanks for your time.
No, thank you for having me.
Good to see you. No weddings to attend today.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, look.
But frankly, I was just enjoying everything Madame Rosalind has been saying. For her, I've always said she's my walking encyclopedia. So for those of us that are learning, we always want to gather around and listen. So I don't even know what I'm going to add, but I will still talk.
Well, add the new generation part of the conversation. Yes. Look, Abigail, there's a lot of history to this, and as Rosalind has given us a big perspective to all of this and how we have evolved. Now, what do you also see from where you sit regarding the structures that are being laid by our competitors or the other nations who are, playing at the level of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations? You were very much a part of coverage of the recent Women's CAF Champions League.
Yeah. I would want to take it from the point of planning. That's where Madame Rosalind left off. And from what I count, especially with the CAF Women's Champions League, I would say that now the understanding and the love of the women's game has gone up so much that if you are not abreast with the latest trends or how things are being picked up, you will always lag behind. I've come to accept that it is not just about talent. Now it goes beyond that. I tell you this, at club level, at FA, Casablanca, I can count also Mamelodi Sundowns had video analysts, and they had more than one. And so if you beat Asfa in your first game and you meet Asfa again, it was certainly going to be difficult to beat them. And that is just what happened with that. I feel that now a lot more of the countries have accepted that if they are doing certain things in a certain way with the male teams and it is working, and they want to really get on board with the women's game, which is now bringing in a lot of cash as well, as much as exposing the talent, then they have to do things right. So I would really want to agree with Madame Rose when she talks about planning. And some of these clubs or nations that as well had plans for the long term, 3, 4, 5 years. And so when they are working at it after a year or two and the results are not coming, they are not chasing names, they are not putting out their technical team, because they know that as much as it is a plan, there will be hitches, and so they just have to make up for it. Whereas we have lived with the glory as one of the biggest on the continent, and gradually that is fading away and we are slipping off the ladder, and it looks like all of a sudden we want to wake up and get back up there. But already Zambia is fast becoming a household name on the continent. They've had opportunity to taste the last World Cup. And so if we do not take care, the kind of planning, the kind of precision, the kind of positioning a lot of the countries are doing, placing themselves or doing now, we might not be able to catch up. But it's never too late. We have started a trend, or we are back on a certain tangent. Maybe we need to stick with it and also continue. I was a little happy that we didn't crucify Nora too much when she lost her first game, just maybe because we had qualified already. So the backlash was less. If we will continue to be this patient and then allow her to continue with her mission to rebuild our senior national team with us, I'm sure that we should be able to get back up there. And like Madam Brittany touched on, the fact that now we are getting a lot more of our girls exposed to the world. I'm talking about the girls going out there to also have the chance with foreign clubs and all of that. Now they come down and you see the difference, you see the maturity, you see the add-ons. I would want to mention names in a certain Grace Asantua. People see her now and everybody is saying that she is the best thing that is happening to our midfield. But hitherto when she was Ampim Dakwan, she was equally good. But now that level of maturity with which she plays has increased. If you are privileged to go to a footballing country like Spain and ply your trade there, you should be able to pick up some things for yourself. Bidle Bibia will continue to also excel. But my joy in recent times is Doris Bedua. I watched Doris in the last 2 games and I accept that out there in Serbia, the girl has allowed herself to learn. Now she has picked up a lot of strength, tenacity, and verve and added it to her game. And so you, whoever you are coming on to Doris, she would not go down easily like she would with Hazaka some 2-3 seasons ago. So I feel that that exposure as well is bringing something good onto our senior national team. If we're able to hold on to it and blend it with the raw quality we have here, I'm sure that we'll be able to go ahead. But in recent times, if you do not plan, you will fail.
Well, Abigail Senasusu there joining us virtually with her thoughts. We'll be picking some more from her perspective in current times. We've been taking the historic perspective from Rosalind Amun, who's a specialist when it comes to women's football. Let's do some messages that I have here. This one is from Kojo Wilson. Kojo Wilson says, I'm happy about this conversation because the men are not even certain about qualifying for the next World Cup. So at least we need to direct our energies to a certain place. The Black Queens did it first, and they should be able to do it again and win their first title for Ghana this year. Now, Lovelace Ankra says, I'm happy that this amount of energy is being focused on the discussion on the Black Queens and, for that matter, women's football. If we are not getting the results with the Black Stars, we might as well just put a lot more energy and resources, and it's put resources in capital letters, and resources into setting up our national teams. All right, and then this other one is from Benjamin. Benjamin says, well, I do not subscribe to keeping the winning bonuses and other promised bonuses of teams till after tournaments are played. It does a lot to psychologically hurt these players, as Rosalind has said. And I hope that as we get into the next competition, government will do everything possible together with the Ghana FA to ensure that no issues of unpaid bonuses will ever come up. Okay, thank you very much for that message. So, Rosie, this is one very interesting subject area, and you did mention one of the scenarios which actually denied us Olympic qualification. We cannot say that it has left us completely, because in the last 5 years we've had a scenario where the team was there in Roman Ridge at a hotel, and there was a whole episode of drama. We'll come to that in a little bit. We're going to be picking your thoughts on that particular area and how, just like the texter said, we can possibly move away completely from that. Why is it that we cannot move away completely from that era or that practice or that phenomenon of unpaid bonuses, which clearly does a lot in terms of messing up the psyche of our players? All of that coming up here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. Send in your thoughts like we always do. The show always thrives on your thoughts and your contributions as well. 055-1111-997. Some messages and the conversations continue here on the Joy Sports Link.
Introducing Pick 4 from Game Park Games, the easiest lottery to play and win. Pick 4 4 numbers from 0 to 9 up to 3 times a day to become one of our daily winners. More moolah, more power. Play online at www.gamepackgames.com or dial *946# to play. Game Pack Games is regulated by the National Lottery Authority, not for persons under 18. Play responsibly. Pick 4 from Game Pack Games. More moolah, more power.
There's a new way to watch your favorite entertainment on the go. From the 1st of December, take your TV with you with Go TV Stream. Want to watch it here? Go for it. Want to watch it there? Go for it. Yeah, even there, it's everything Go TV. Anywhere, anytime. Simply download the new Go TV Stream app from your App Store. Sign into your Go TV account to get going. Watch TV anywhere with Go TV Stream. Go TV. Love it.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Well, we're still here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. The Black Queens have sealed qualification, and this came on the back of some rather, good results, which many have commended the current Black Queens coach, Nora Hoptel, for. We'll be talking about the element of Nora Hoptel and what exactly it is that she probably is doing differently. Now, what we will not do is to try to also downplay the efforts of coaches who have been in that position previously, because everybody has done something to contribute to where the team has gotten to now. There are those who are also saying, listen, when we get out there on the big stage, we're going to face some very stiff opposition. And we got the reality check in the last day. But in the towards the end of Abigail Senasosu's first submission, she mentioned that it's very important as well that that nobody came into sort of downplay Nora Hoptel's strength as a technical person because of that loss, So let's take it from there as well. We'll begin from the bonuses which we talked about, and then we'll come to Nora Hoptel.
Thankfully, I have been around when women's football started evolving on the continent, and so I know what I talk about. So in 1998, when we went for the first women's AFCON, South Africa came very well branded with their Nike. From casual slippers to casual wear to training kits and everything. We went there with Mingle, not to downplay Mingle, but we went there with only 2 sets of jerseys. And so we couldn't afford the luxury of going for strolls, because you know how the South Africans do it.
Yeah.
We were in the same group and we were in the same hotel. So they see you and they're like, are you here for a tournament? They had nothing to worry about at the time that they were playing. And there are things that I'm going to touch on that I have always written about and which has been our bane as Ghana. So at that time, Desiree Ellis was a player, the current coach of the South Africans. She was a player and she was the captain of the team. Mesitego Kwaku was only one of the players. I wouldn't even say that at that time. If Afani wanted a serious game, he would start Messi. She was one of the backup number 3s, left fullbacks, because she was intelligent. She was in school, so she was very, very intelligent up there. But if as Franny wanted somebody to do the dirty work, he would always play Patience Nagasaki ahead of Mesitego Kwaku. But we went there and we still had issues with bonuses. Monies were carried to us, go and play and come back when you come back. And so the issue of bonuses have always been there, even qualification bonuses. Look at what happened to us after the 2016 Cup of Nations, where we had gone to win bronze. And then as late as in 2018, even when we were hosting and we were playing the Olympic qualifiers, there were still issues with outstanding bonus. And this is what I think. We have taken women's football for granted. just as culturally, we don't accord women or females that kind of respect. We think that, oh, women's football, yeah, is there. And unfortunately, it's also the male junior teams also suffer the same thing, just that they can't come out to talk about it. No, winning bonuses are always in arrears. Qualification bonus, first it was winning bonus, so win and you pay. Then they said qualification bonus. So what it meant is that if you qualified from one stage of the qualifier, so if there were 3 stages of the qualification, if you qualified from the first stage, you get your winning bonus. If you progress into the second stage, you get your winning bonus. If you don't progress beyond that, then it means that there was nothing for you. Unlike in the end, it's made economic sense because, of course, we didn't have that money. But even when they have qualified, they've played and they've qualified and progressed, it was still in arrears. And I mean, nobody cares. They'll tell you, we don't have money, we will get it when we pay. And that was the attitude. Unfortunately, it was always coming from the ministries, because the ministry owns the government through the ministry are in charge of the national teams. But what will happen is that when they travel and they have to be given their per diems, that one will be worked out because somebody from the ministry who is the purse holder would travel with the team. And so that is how it is done. Per diems probably may not be as much as the winning bonuses. But if you don't encourage them, so you are going to play a certain South Africa that the girls have nothing to worry about, against a team that is going in and is even worrying, even when I go and win, getting my winning bonus becomes also another struggle and another hassle. So that psychologically would weigh the girls down. I remember an incident when we went to Cameroon. I mean, during the 2016 World Cup, AFCON. We almost lost out on the bronze. We almost missed out on the bronze because at that time, a day to the game against, we had played the semi-finals and we had lost against Cameroon. The support for Cameroon was massive. I mean, the whole town, it was like the indomitable lions playing in the AFCON. Because at that time it was being used as a dress rehearsal for the men's AFCON. So they actually came out to show the world and Africa that they were ready to host the AFCON. We lose to Cameroon, we come in. And then the girls at that time, sadly, their per diems had been reduced. You know, at that time when they traveled, they were given, I think, $100 a day as per diem. And then, I mean, they said it was being reduced to, I think, $90 without any conversation. So the girls were already agitating and we had to talk to them. And then they said, well, they had won, they hadn't seen any of the winning bonuses, and so they were not going to play in the third game. They were refusing to go to training that day. And I remember the coaches. So they came in and we had a meeting and I said, look, we cannot allow the girls to hold us to ransom now. At this moment, you are the coaches. We are only management. We can only talk to you. We can't go to talk to the girls. So this is what you do. We have come here for a mission. You have a team. You have 2 sets of players. The most would be that maybe we'll lose 1 or 2 players. But just go to them and tell them that you want to have a team. So those who are willing to play the third game match, they should go and play. Those who are not willing to play can pack their bag. Can stay in the hotel. And they know the consequences of it. Once you decide not to play, you know the consequences of it. You may never get another chance because there are a lot of things. As you are waiting, there are new players knocking on the door to also get in. And so we talked and had that meeting. They went in and they played and they beat South Africa. At that time, South Africa was fired up. South Africa has this thing. They don't understand why, with all their resources and everything, they keep playing second fiddle. When they lose to Nigeria, they are not pained. But when Ghana the Queens beat them, it's like, what the hell? So South Africa had come into the game. They were so sure and focused they were going to beat us because they had watched us. And at that time, Desiree had just taken over. She had just been given a part-time job to handle the Bayana girls because they had also, they had gone to Namibia for the African Games. We beat them and eventually we won the gold there. So they were looking for a way, and the plan to qualify for the World Cup and the Olympics started in 1998 for South Africa. That was when they started planning and preparing for it, and yet it was eluding them. So what did they do? They said after the 2016 game, then they decided that they were not going to change Desiree Ellis. They were rather going to encourage her, give her a proper contract, let her go to all the development career training that she needed. They were going to give her all the support that she required to ensure that they remain consistent, and that the girls will also respect her because she was coming in as a former player, not just a former player of Bayana, a captain and somebody who has risen through the ranks. And that is what has paid off for them now. So when we saw South Africa winning in Morocco last year, it wasn't because they just got up and said they were going to do it. You and I know the history of their investments and development and planning. That has yielded. For us, we are lucky. Unlike South Africa, where they struggle with skill and talent, we have the skill and talent. We don't have the logistics. But the little that we have, we don't want to make good use of it. And that is where, I hope we'll get into that conversation. That is where I am pained that when it is a local person that is in charge, just as we have done to the Black Stars, it is also happening to the Black Queens.
I see.
But it is the planning, investment, the bonuses. How much does it take? Give it to them or tell them something. And when we tell them, we should go by it. When you promise that, okay, you go and come, we will give it to you. We shouldn't wait for them to come demanding, because now the truth of the matter is that most of these girls, until recently where they started earning contracts to travel abroad, had the national team winnings as their main source of income. Some of them would take it and then they become breadwinners for their families. Some of them would take the bonuses. If they were lucky to go there and they kill themselves to play for the nation, to make Ghana proud, whatever we give them is what they use to develop themselves to go to school. We started off by saying that, at that time we would give them scholarships. Until free SHS came, they were not being given the scholarships. They will go to school and they will pay. And so when they come and they are demanding that give us our money so that we can also go and pay our school fees, we can go and take care of our parents, our homes and everything. It wasn't because they were demanding something that was not theirs. They've always demanded what was legally and rightfully theirs. And yet we would say, and I understand, the ministry had issues. There have been a lot of financial litigations with the ministries. Judgment debts and all that. So at certain times, their monies, their bank accounts are frozen or something, escrow accounts, and so the money is not there. But this is the time that you would call and say that, look, okay, so we don't have the money yet. When we get it, there's a way that a parent will talk to a child for the child to understand and be patient that, okay, so this is what is happening. I understand, I'll take. But when they come and we don't tell them anything, and most of the times, at that time, most of the girls thought those of us who were managing were not being truthful and not doing the right thing. But our hands were tied to our backs. There was nothing we could do. I'm happy that is changing now. I don't know how much we owe with regards to qualification bonus now, but at least we are doing, the FA and the ministry are now forward looking and they are doing some things right. That is working for us. But for me, I have said it and people have lambasted me. Qualifying for a WAFCON is not a big deal. We have always been there. The only times we have missed out was 2012 and 2022. That was the only time we went to a tournament and we missed out on the first, progressing from the group stages was in 2018 and I think 2014. Every other competitions that we've gone to, the least we have finished in is with a bronze medal. We haven't even placed fourth. We have always won. Once we get to the semi-finals and either Nigeria will beat us or Cameroon will beat us, once we get into there, we will make sure we return with a medal. So for me, it is not a big deal. The big deal is preparing. Because now we have seen. Last year we saw how people came to Morocco. If you come ill-prepared, you will be exposed. Nigeria went in taking a lot of things for granted because they think they were the big mamas of Africa. South Africa and Morocco showed them. We saw Zambia Ghana has been, Black Queens have been there. Zambia has gone to 2 Olympic Games. They've gone to a World Cup. We are still chasing an Olympic qualification. So it is not as for the qualification, we will always qualify. Look, the princesses would qualify for their World Cup. The maidens would qualify if maidens were going to play, we would qualify for the World Cup. But beyond the qualification, what do we put into the preparation? If the Black Stars would qualify for a tournament and they will go for 3 weeks camping at a coded place, just so they will gel and get together, and Black Queens would qualify for a tournament, and we don't have that kind of preparation. Look at when we were going to, I said that we watched that golden opportunity to host and win our only AFCON, and we didn't, because it was because of the kind of preparation we put in. And we were going to blame the coaches who handled. Of course, I was upset that we brought in Bashir Hafer, because I thought that at that time he didn't have to handle the team. But when people have power and authority and they talk, they refuse to listen to some of us who have been very close and who have been at the grassroots and who know some of the things, because you don't have that power and authority to change things. If we don't prepare well, we will go and come back the same way we've gone and come back since 1998, because it's all about preparation. And now look, South Africa have won. They will be coming out to defend it because they also want to make history like Nigeria have. Morocco missed out by a quiver in the final last year. They've already riding on the back of, okay, we've made history by being the first team to play in our first World Cup and qualify.
And our men have also gone to the last 4 of the men's World Cup.
So, you even leave out the men. They are their first attempts. They go past the first round and go into the second round of the World Cup, Women's World Cup. It had never happened before, but they have made history. And so hosting the 2024 WAFCON, you think they would sit down for us to go and deprive them of that?
So clearly,
in the last 10 years, the kind of investment they have made. You were talking to Abigail. Abigail was talking about investment and planning. The kind of investment Morocco have made in the last 10 years. In the past, they didn't care about women's football because of cultural background and all that. But now they've seen that, look, like many other countries, if our men will not do well, we will let our women do well. But thankfully, or surprisingly, the men are also doing well. So they've held the hands of their ladies and they are pulling them along. As we go, you join with us. And that is what is happening. So it won't be easy. Massive investment in infrastructure, motivation, both intrinsic and extrinsic, they have done that. And now that the Champions League have also come in, they are making sure that they have their league well structured so that their players would not have to travel. And if they travel, they don't get too much of a cultural shock. So they go more to France or the French-speaking countries to go and play. So they come, and that's telepathy and cohesion is there. What do we do?
Well, you also joined us with your thoughts. We're taking a look at the Black Queens and what needs to be done, especially as we get into reality check and reality mode. Reality check in the sense that other nations, as we have been told by our guest today, are making massive efforts to get the records and put their names into the signs of history when it comes to achievements at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations. We're still here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Nathaniel Attoh. I'm backed by the rest of the Joy Sports team, sit-in producer Benaya Elom Dafiamekpo, and my guest is Rosalind Attoh, who is an experienced senior journalist with a graphic communications group, a sub-editor there, and has played various roles in terms of administration of the national teams and has followed for some number of years as well. Abigail Sena Susu is of the New School, and she also has massive thoughts when it comes to what's been happening in recent times, the likely change that we've seen after that background that we've been given by Rosalind. You also bring us your thoughts and tell us how well you think the Black Queens will do, especially following the kind of consistency that has been established by Nora Hoptel. Let's now get into the Nora conversation. In Nora we trust, and many other lines have led some of the captions on social media after the chain of results that were recorded by her. After quite a number of games in charge, she's lost only one, and she's looking pretty good. Seems to have established a certain level of chemistry with the girls and the ladies. What is the trick? Is it something we shouldn't make too much noise about? It's not a big deal. Abigail, tell us about the Nora Hoptel effect and what she possibly is doing right, because of which we should have a certain level of confidence as we go into this competition. Abigail, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please go ahead now. Yeah.
Okay. So I was trying to say that with Nora, from when she was inculcated into our fold in February earlier this year, maybe the good thing was she met an era or an administration that sought to take women's football to another level. And I've known what we have been through. And so initially she was drafted to be a part of the Black Princesses for that World Cup during that period, but just that it didn't work out and they fell off, and she was asked to come and be with the senior national team. A lot of people had doubts, giving her last job and how she left and all of that. So it gave us the indication that she's one that would want that free hand to work. If you gave her a lot of pressure, she wouldn't mind leaving the job because it didn't fit well with her. But fast forward, like you rightly said, she has tried so hard to understand the type of game or the kind of game and where we want to go to. And like I said earlier, it's just by dint of coincidence that this is an era or this is an administration that wants to win on every side. So it wouldn't just be with the men, and would also want to do something good with the women's teams or the women's game as well. And luckily for us also, this administration is also made up of at least someone we all know of hand that has had interest in the women's game for a very long time, in the General Secretary in Prosper Asinado. So championing the women's game from the administrative level had been good. And so now I'll enjoy all of the support. She'll be given what she wants just so she gets the results. And I feel that we've not really seen this number of foreign-based players in our senior national team in a very long time. To the extent that even for friendly games, we're able to get about 12, 13 girls coming down to be a part of the Black Queens. It has never really happened in that light. So you get the posture that the administration and trying to get in the ministry want to make sure that everything they need to make the women's team succeed is being given onto us. Hitherto, I've been a part of I don't want to say a stampede or whatever it is, a march to the ministry with the Black Queens at the point, I think in 2017-18, to demand bonuses after a major tournament where Florence Datson, most of these girls, Linda Shen and the likes, we had to match the ministry. We couldn't even see the minister at that time. But those are some of the things that were happening. Like Madam Roslyn said, I've not heard anything about bonuses in recent times. Maybe the girls are being attended to like we all want it to be. We are not asking for equality, but if you are dragging us along, then clearly it would also bring us the results that we want. So I believe that Nora is enjoying a lot of support from the players as well. You see the euphoria, like you rightly pointed out. She's trying to build a certain understanding with the girls that come to join, and even the local based players she meets here. When you see the rapport she has with them, she's make them comfortable that when they play, you don't even see sometimes the difference in those out there and the girls she calls upon from the local side as well. I want to believe that it's just a matter of we getting to understand that we have to change a certain posture for the game to work for the women. So irrespective of whoever is in the helms of affairs, now we want to give that maximum support and make sure that whatever the coach asks for to be able to get the job done, it is readily available. So I think that if we want to get the best results in 2-3 years, and we can maintain this posture of helping the girls, talk about even welcoming the girls from Namibia. Say that the delegation that were at the airport to meet them, the FA president, the vice president.
Hello, Abigail. Okay, we lost her sound there. We're going to re-establish contact with her. Okay. All right. So we're going to
Can you hear me now? Okay.
I can hear you. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so I just want to say that what I have seen in recent time is the support and the positive attitude and a change in mindset to wanting to make the women's team a good one for all of us. And so I only wish that we would continue in that light. And like Madam Roslyn rightly pointed out, in terms of our preparation, it shouldn't be pam pam then to Morocco. I'm not saying pam pam is a bad place.
All right, let's
get used to a certain fit. We should be able to get things right. So if we are doing it for the male team and want them to succeed, at least a little look at the senior national and the women's team in this direction should also help us.
Great stuff there. Let's now focus on the issue of having a balance or equality when it comes to remuneration. Now, this is something that has been a subject of advocacy across sports. So you look at the Grand Slam in tennis, you look at some of the established football destinations of the world, like England, like the US and many others, where they have women's national teams in football have said, listen, give us the same quantum of bonuses and winning pegs that you give to our male colleagues and counterparts. Is this something, I mean, looking at the economic situation, looking at where we are when it comes to the organization of our football, is this something you'd advocate for to be done at this time where we have a balance, or that, or you continue to advocate for, so that then there is that establishment of, or the continuation of a balance in rewarding our players of our national teams, both male and female?
I think that on this score, people are going to skin me alive. I don't believe in equality when it comes to currently as it is. And for instance, we should always look at the history and the background of the teams that are calling for equality and all that. I believe in equity. And what is equity? Equity is making sure that both of us get what we are due. We are due. So, Nat, you are taller than me. If we were to look over a wall, you would have to look over the wall without having to stretch. I would need what? A ladder to stand on to be able to see as much as you see. That is equity. When you want to talk about equality, then it means that I am demanding exactly what you are demanding, when even our roles and jobs are quite different. I mean, we are looking at player for player. At the time that the Americans were asking for equal pay with their men, I mean, Nats, they have been to the World Cup, and how many times have they won the Women's World Cup? What has been the pedigree and the history and the performance of the American male national team? But at a point, they were taking more, simply because it is something that had been structured at FIFA. Even when you go to FIFA, you look at the World Cup earnings, and even now that FIFA says it has improved the World Cup earnings, it is nowhere near what the male teams would win, because the sponsors would always give more to the men than they would give to the women. Marta, for all that she has done, and for all that she's giving to women's football, does not have like $20 million. She was never paid anything close to that point. But look at the other players that we say are in the same league with her. I don't want to mention males' names, but that is why I say that on that score, I would not advocate equality. I would advocate equity. Give me what is due me by remuneration. So, for instance, and those are the things we all agreed, that in football, for the senior women's national team, for the senior teams, when you travel, your per diem will be $100 a day. So when you travel and you are going to be away for 3 days, technically they pay you for the week, because they take into account your traveling time and all that. And then out of the blue, a minister comes in 2017 and says the costs for paying national teams were too much. So we are going to have a conversation and we are going to reduce the per diem. And then the Black Stars says, we will not allow you to. And so you go. Some of the things that happened in the Black Stars camp when players were revolting were some of these things. So if you want to have it, who are the people who go have the conversation? Who go into the negotiations? And then it was imposed on the Black Queens. We go, the players show up and they know that, they do their plans with their money. We are going to receive $500 a week or $600 a week for, being in camp at a competition. And you go and you are told that they will give you $90 or $80. And yet, when the Black Stars agitated on the quiet, their $100 a day was restored. Is that fair? So I always talk about equity and not equality. Look, we may never, and especially when we don't have anything to show for being there. For instance, if Nigeria, the Falcons are asking for equal pay with the teams, the Eagles, you can't complain because they have something to show for. But what we are saying is that on equity basis, give us the same opportunities that you have given them. So when it comes to training and preparation for an international competition, why don't you give us the same? And we even extend it to CAF. I always say that, look, when the male teams qualify for the World Cup, I think since 2016 or so, they receive $1 million for preparation from CAF. And yet when African teams, women teams qualify for the World Cup, they are left on their own. So it goes beyond what a country could do. And especially in our time that Ghana, we don't have the resources. When everybody is blaming football for the woes of all the other sports, it will be a little bit ridiculous for us to say that, look, we are also asking our women to be given the same things that our men enjoy.
Well, you sending your messages as well, and we'll be glad to share some of them. I shared some of them with you earlier. Send them in. Remember, it's 055-11-11997 055-11-11997. Now we also need to start projecting realistically what the scenarios could be like and how it's going to turn out and how it's going to play out. Recent history has taught us that the nations that we like to refer to as minnows and as small boys, small girls are now picking up gradually. We've seen that with the men, and we're likely to see that in Morocco as well. But beyond that, while we do the predictions for the big names, what are the likely surprises we may get? Are we positioned to probably pop up a surprise at this tournament based on what you've seen so far? Let's begin with Rosie.
So Nats, I think that there are always tournament favorites when it comes to any major tournament. We will wait to see how the draw goes, but there would always be tournament favorites. And of course, when you talk about the tournament favorites, at this moment, any reasonable person will place their bets on those who have just come from the World Cup. And so in that pecking order, even though Nigeria disappointed at the last AFCON, Nigeria will still be 1, South Africa will be 2, Morocco will be 3, and depending on what happens between Cameroon and Ghana, they would be in that pecking order. And then the Senegal, the Zambia.
Equatorial Guinea?
Oh no.
Not now.
Equatorial Guinea, the only time.
So
what
is happening is that they are going through.
So no, let me show you. The only time they won, they won the AFCON in 2012. You know what they did? They have citizens scattered all over the place. So they brought people from Portugal, from Brazil, and because of their peculiar history, so all these girls were recruited to come and play for Equatorial Guinea. And suffice to say that a lot of things were thrown in the way of Nigeria to get them out of the way, so Equatorial Guinea would win. And that was what happened. After that, you realize that some girls went from Burkina Faso to go and naturalize to play for Equatorial. Equatorial Guinea itself was banned. Were banned because they were using players that were illegally not registered and qualified to play for them. And so on that score, while I will not dismiss the gains they are making, you will not dismiss the history they've made us. Until South Africa, they remain the only side to have beaten Nigeria to win the women. I mean, to have won the women's AFCON aside Nigeria. We would also have to look at the history and what have gone into it since that time. So it probably was a flash in the pan. So when I'm looking at countries that are seriously investing in women's football, I would not put Equatorial Guinea. I would rather even put Kenya ahead of Equatorial Guinea.
Abigail, the league has seen, great improvement from its branding to followership and the general look and feel. There's a headline sponsor there, and the performances of Hazakes ladies and Mpimdakwa ladies on the stage of the CAF Champions League has also done something to draw attention to it. So at least there is a certain effort on our side, which we are hoping will, I mean, in technical terms, it wouldn't really make sense, but you're hoping that it has a certain reflection on the output of the national team, the Black Queens.
I do agree with you, Nat. And like I said earlier, I enjoy the blend with at least some of the local girls that are called into the national team. And they, I should say, are making a very good statement for the Women's Premier League. And so if you see Stella Nyamiche, who had a chance to play only 2 of the games under Nathaniel Attoh, came in one of the qualifiers against Benin, that Olympics, and got a fantastic goal. She got the opportunity again in that game against Namibia, and you would appreciate that confidence and that flair with which she plays her football. If you have the opportunity to have also watched Comfort Yeboah, there was another representation in the local league as well. I believe that the girls are really encouraging themselves in the local league when they see some of their colleagues being called on to various national teams. We have a lot of them in the junior national teams, but getting them to play with the Black Queens and even commanding a starting place, that is what we are really embracing with time for us to also see. And I'm very happy that those that are being given the opportunity to start in some of this game with their elder sisters, or let me say their friends who are outside there in the world and have got all of that experience, have not disappointed. We can only get better and hope that in the next 6 months, before we get to Morocco, some of these preparations, some of these plans to go into that tournament will continue to give the local girls the look. And now, if you are playing for a certain faith ladies, you are playing for a certain attempt to create, or even Jonina, and you see your colleague in the senior national team, no one should tell you to put in your very best, because now the net has been cast wide that irrespective of the league you are playing in, if you are playing and playing well, you will definitely be given a look in. This lady who had a chance, the discovery of the year last for the just ended league, had a chance to play in one of the qualifiers. So if you are playing in your small corner, don't say that nobody is watching, because now the Women's Premier League is on television, it's on Facebook, social media, everybody's tweeting, everybody's talking about it. And I don't think that Nora lives in a dungeon or on an island. She would also be briefed on some of these performances and get a chance to even watch. So it is enough motivation to see that 3 of your colleagues were part of the team that just qualified Ghana back into the championship. So wherever you are with the facilities you are being given, you know that if you are with a certain Berry ladies, you are with a certain Hazakes or even Fosu Royal ladies, you have a chance if only you continue to give out your best. For me, I believe that in recent times, the girls have really encouraged themselves and allowed themselves to put out. And as I tell you, if not for contractual issues, a lot more of the clubs that came to Ivory Coast for the Champions League would have walked away with a lot of the girls from Mpimdakwa for the kind of talent they saw. And so it was a good platform for them to also go out and showcase our league as a whole, because people are really giving us the looking after they came back. And Hazake started that some 2-3 years ago, and it's really good that we the ladies went there to continue with that. So our league is getting somewhere. The girls are well encouraged because they know that now there's a way they can get to the senior national team, get out there especially, and make some good money and name for themselves.
Well, to pick up from where Abigail has left off, I get excited and worried at the same time, because our best are being whisked away. The good thing is that when they leave, we get players to replace them. But then it becomes a challenge for the national team handlers, because now you need
You have to start the process all over again.
you need to not just the process all over again, but you need to find a way of blending your team to ensure that you don't leave out the local players. The best that we had, who even before they left were playing the national teams, are the ones that have left, and they are playing the national teams. So you realize that we haven't, under Nora, not many of the local players have played in the national team. But just a year before, it was dominated by local players. So that is the challenge we would have. And the other thing is that, like we are seeing in the men, you create a backlog of talents that cannot play anywhere. So for instance, in the Black Queens, between princesses and queens, if you don't qualify to play for the princesses, but you qualify to play the queens and you don't get a call up, what happens to you? so that is what, and I mean, we saw this coming, and I mean, in one of those papers that I did, I always, every now and then, when my imagination is running wild, I do a paper and I submit, and I said, look, let us look at creating our own under 20 girls, under 23 girls, so that it becomes the bridge between princesses and the queens. We don't force our very young people who are not qualified to play in the under 20 to go and play in the Black Queens, and they are not able to fit in because we have already established stars playing there. So in between, can we have something like that so that WAFU can even develop, instead of the WAFU under 20, let us rather have a WAFU under 23, so that it becomes the building block between the under 20s and under 23, so that those talents who don't make it straight into the Black Queens do not waste away. Well, it has not been ever considered, and so I don't know what will happen to it. But that is it. The thing is that, Nat, when we started the league, a lot of people did not believe that it was going to thrive. People even bastardized us for trying to play the zonal championships. But the good thing is that it is saving the clubs. There is no money. I mean, can you imagine having to leave Accra to Kumasi or Tamale to go and play a league and come like the men do? But when you play in your zone, it makes it convenient. It makes it easier. We haven't gotten, yes, in our 5-year strategic plan for women's football development, we are thinking of playing a professional league. But until we play the professional league, we have most of the players playing who are students. Do you distract? And you realize that the league is ongoing when school is also in section. So if every weekend you need to get a girl out of school to travel from Tamale to Accra, and it takes 2 days to travel to Accra, and then you play the match, and then 2 days so it means that on the days that they need to, for instance, they need to travel from Tamale to Accra or Accra to Tamale to come and play, the player will miss school. So to ensure that they don't miss it, that is how we play in the zone. And interestingly, most of the other other countries are now trying to build their leagues around the Ghana model.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting
Because
stuff.
they realize that to cut down costs, to make it easier for everybody to play, because even the distance of traveling from one area to another. So what you do is either you have the teams playing in the league concentrated in one area at the detriment of the other, or you spread it by zoning them so that everybody can play, and then at the end of the day they can come together to come and play the champion of champions. It has worked for us. I don't think we should leave it, because until we get professional, where you get massive injection of funds and sponsorship, it will not be easy for the clubs to handle it. The other thing is, it is giving us, I mean, everybody has never been in doubt of the talent and skill of Ghanaian players. At least, if for nothing at all, we showed it at the Under-17 World Cup. We showed it at the Under-20 World Cup. The Black Queens have done well. I mean, even though the last time we went to the World Cup was in 2007, we have never been to the Olympics, and all I have told you before, we all know the skill and talent. And so now that the Champions League has come, we are seeing it that at the grassroots, we are developing it. How do we now translate the talent and the skill that we find at the grassroots into stars, into national team access that can go and they will be fearless. Because now, if you are playing, you are getting more playing time, you are getting the exposure, you are getting the experience. And now that Nora is here, it means that they will get what they want. Because not last year, if you wanted to, the Black Queens wanted to play an international friendly, the first thing that they will be told was there's no money. So if you can get a team to come and play with you for free, or if you were invited to go and play outside, they'll tell you that, well, if your guests, your hosts are going to pick all your bills, then you go. When you even ask that, so okay, so the guest says they'll pay the air ticket, accommodation and transportation, give us per diem for the girls, you'll still be told there is no money.
So it means that if the reverse scenario ever happened, we'll tell whichever team it is that's coming here that we don't have the funds for doing those things.
You, apart from Senegal and Togo and Cote d'Ivoire, which other big Morocco, when they came to play us, Morocco came here on their own sponsorship. Any team, any national team that has come to play Ghana, they come here on their own arrangements, per their own financial resources. Ghana has never. The most probably you will do is to host them, but even that, they pick their own hotel bills. So we shouldn't make it look as if that is how come we are not able to. You realize that we will travel more to go and play than we would invite the big teams to come and play with us. If you see a big team, national team coming to play, they are here on their own arrangement because they need that friendly much more than we would require to go and play them.
All right, so join us 0302216541 0302216541 and 05511119997 0302216541 and 05511119997. All right, Harriet has sent this message and it reads, I'm very glad about the conversation. I'm just hoping that those who have to listen are listening and will do the right thing. We have to prepare for this tournament. It could just be our time. Harriet, thank you very much. Jemima sends this one, which also says, I'm just hoping that Ghana will be seeded and also will make a massive impact when they go to the women's AFCON.
You won't be seeded, unfortunately.
Yes.
You're not in the top 4, so you won't be seeded.
Okay, so Jemima, because we're not in the top 4, the Black Queens cannot be seeded. All right. Let's take this one as well from Jesse. Jesse says, good afternoon and thank you for the conversation. Would like to push the Black Queens as hard as we can so that they will win the trophy for the first time. All right. So let's take this one from Inko Joseph. Inko Joseph says, Ampemenakwa ladies actually made me start following women's football. Now, I started hearing the voice of Rosalind Amo when I completed Accra Academy back in 1996 in women's football. And for her voice, everything about her are still the same. Apart from her voice, everything are the same. Trust me, everything is the same. The same. We have to go on. We have to go for a master class on that one. So 0302216541. 0302216541. Join us and let's have this conversation as we look forward to wrapping up the show very shortly. Now, would go round and also take some thoughts as well on the other developments. Now, the Africa Games, we've done a countdown and we're looking forward to getting things done. The minister has said it clearly that we will have the facilities delivered in December. I just drove past the University of Ghana Stadium. Work is ongoing. I think the last floodlight is being erected. Work on the external car park is also still happening. December, they say it'll be handed over.
You see, we have been. The organizers or the owners of the competition of the games have been very magnanimous with Ghana, because that's when you have to host a competition, your facilities must be intact or 80% ready with about 6 months to go.
As Cote d'Ivoire have done in terms of example.
3 months to the competition, you need to test run all the facilities to ensure that there are no hitches. So for us, the competition that is supposed to, a games that is supposed to happen in March, and we are being given even up to December, January to finish. And I am confident that is the thing about Ghana. We like last minute things. I mean, the number of times that Dr. Kweku Fusuasari have had to, I mean, literally go asking that we should do these things, and every time it happened, we were going to blame it on COVID and all that. We knew that we had won the bid and we were going to host it, and so we should have put in. That is Ghana for you. My worry is not, however, about the facilities, because as for the facilities, it will be ready, because if we don't get it right, the owners of the games will take it away from us, and trust us, the North Africans are ready to take it. I mean, somebody like Morocco wants to host a World Cup. So now, at any given opportunity, the slightest opportunity, they want to grab any competition that brings Africa together.
That will make a statement for
yes.
them. Yeah.
But my worry is that about 90 days to the competition. Do you know your team? Do you know your athletes? Team Ghana. Who makes up Team Ghana? Until recently, we have just appointed a chef de maison. When are we going to start preparing? So is it meteors that are going to play in the games? If it is meteors, what has been the conversation about building the meteors to start preparing for the African Games? We know the Black Queens may, because technically it's the Black Queens that would always. I mean, it's only on 2 occasions that we made the princesses, represent Ghana at the Algiers Games, but after that, the Black Queens went and they won the gold in the 2015 competition. And I think they are the defending champions, because since that time we've not had any games again. But my question is that, so if we are going to take part in all the competitions, 23 or so of them, who are we preparing? How are we preparing? Are we going to host and win, or host and do well? I am a member of the Games Media Committee, and technically ours is not to talk about Team Ghana. Ours is to make sure that we are ready for the games. We will be ready in terms of facilities, but as a Ghanaian who has a stake in how well Team Ghana does, are we ready? Will we be ready?
Are we ready, and will we be ready? Abigail, your very quick thoughts on meeting these deadlines for the Africa Games.
Now, I had the opportunity to tour the facility on the launch of the 100 days, and you hear some of the contractors saying that they work 24 hours a day. There's a team that work in the morning, those that work in the evening, and so clearly they are also upbeat about getting the facilities ready. And when you listen to the urgency with which the minister speaks, it looks like it's a baby he's not ready to let go.
We're having a bit of a break there.
Welcome over 5,000 athletes and visitors into the country and all of that. But we are here racing behind time. Like you rightly said, the reason Ivory Coast hosted the just ended CAF Women's Champions League was to test facilities for AFCON. And so wherever you walked in those 2 cities they added, there was always a CAF official there taking report on everything you do, take, eat, walk. And that was ideally that was supposed to be, but it looks like we might not have the luxury of maybe testing the facilities we would have, and we are gradually losing focus on the athletes who compete in this African Games at the end of the day when the facilities are ready. I believe that we should be able to strike that balance. As much as we want to get the facilities ready in the next 90 or less days, our athletes also competition ready. Will they be?
Will they be? Well, that's a very big question indeed. That's a very, very big question.
The needed attention, and then maybe we'll be able to host it. But from where I sit after that tour, I am just 50% positive we can host it.
Well, 50% positive. Wow, that's a very strong one there. Would have to continue having this conversation. And in the coming weeks as well, would invite Dr. Kweku Fusuasari. We had actually wanted to invite him last weekend, but he was unable to honor the invitation. Let's just quickly take some final thoughts on the subjects, but briefly would have to touch on a report that we brought earlier. Joy Sports Mufta Nabila Abdullahi brought us a report earlier about the unavailability of a plan from the FA, from the Ghana FA to the Youth and Sports Ministry. We've made attempts to speak to officers of the FA. They are unwilling to speak at this time on the matter. But once again, boils down to the same thing about planning.
Well, that's because I'm surprised, because usually the moment you qualify, you start planning for the competition. And at least I don't know, but we should have done that. We should have had a budget in place. We should have had a preparation plan in place. Where are we going to camp? What are we going to do? What time? Because this is also the time that you start negotiating with the European-based clubs where the players play for, so that they would know, they will have a plan of when they would release.
You mentioned something very important, because David Moyes was in the news during the week talking about how
he's not happy. He's going to lose Kudus, because Kudus is now warming him. He has warmed himself up into the team. The team has found him as a live wire, and so to be. I mean, the same way that in those times, as Wenger would complain about his players leaving, Jose Mourinho will complain about his players leaving and all that. And so we tried to move the AFCON to June, July. We tried it once, but we realized that the weather pattern in Africa is not the same as the weather pattern in Europe, and so there is no way we can do that. Maybe, just maybe, we would have to have this conversation about the timing again, to ensure that we can have a convenient place where players are not forced to choose between club and country. Because the truth of the matter is that their bread is buttered by their clubs. Their countries give them the platform to probably showcase what they have. And so it is always an egg and chicken situation. But we should make it a little bit easier for the players. And so we would have to have that conversation of when we play the AFCON, so that the players at that time would have it a little bit easier on them, having to still serve their club and country. But I'm surprised. I don't know. I mean, I'm surprised that we don't have a program in place, a plan, no budget. So it comes as no surprise that even at the presentation of the budget, there was nothing mentioned about the games. I didn't hear anything about the games. I didn't hear anything about the African Cup of Nations. I didn't hear about Women's AFCON. I didn't hear about Under-20 Women's World Cup. These are all major money that would budgets that would be required. And I was thinking,
and of course, if anything goes wrong, people would be asking questions.
Yes, because this one is beyond the Ministry of Youth and Sports. It is a national thing, and so this one should have come up. But maybe it is ready. They are having conversations on it, just that it has not come out publicly. So let's give them the benefits of the doubt, because they know. I mean, the person in charge is an experienced person. He will not expose himself like that, and you know who we are talking about.
Well, Rosalind, thank you so much. We do appreciate your time here today, and thank you so much, Abigail Senasusu. Abigail, in 40 seconds, I want you to also tell me your expectations of the Super Clashes happening this weekend. Not much said, not much done, especially because of the form guide matter. But of course, that game doesn't follow form guide. So in 40 seconds, tell me what your expectations are of that game.
Well, I expect a good game, because Okwen has, in whatever form of shape they can be in the league, when they meet, is a different ball game altogether. But Hearts have always prided themselves as being the most comfortable in Kumasi and call Kumasi home. And a lot of numbers have come against this game, the two sides meeting. But the question remains, who are the main men that you are going to look up to when it comes to these two games? Eric Bakina says that whenever he sees Hamza Issa, he feels he's seeing a rebirth of Ishmael Ado with all of the energy he brings. But Mukwala is also in some fine form for Kumasi as Nantikotoko. Prosper Nantelgum and the Heart of Oak story, right from Wafa to Kotoko, is something else you would want to talk about. But Heart of Oak are going in there with their assistant coach, who has equally tried to keep the team together. But I'm just looking forward to a game where both sides will say that the day will go for them. It's never about who is in top form, but the bad thing for Kotoko is anytime they feel they are in the best of form, they are unable to play Hearts of Oak, and I don't know what Hearts of Oak will make of that on Sunday. I expect a good game as usual when it comes to Kotoko and Hearts.
Well, thank you very much, Abigail Sena Susu. And interestingly, I see a shirt that looks like Hearts of Oak colors. Well, it's massive coincidence.
It's Malta Guinness.
It's Malta Guinness.
Not just
Anyway.
to borrow the late Alaji Jawule's word, he says Kotoko will always do well at the Accra Sports Stadium, and Hearts will always impress at the Kumasi Sports Stadium.
Thank you so much, Roslyn Amu and Abigail Sena Susu there. Thank you so much for contributing to the conversations this afternoon. And coming up shortly is the Joy Headline News at 2 with the award-winning Emma. You all stay well. I'll be back next weekend with another Joy Sports Link. My name is